In this video, I'll be talking about loyalty program and how to set it up on Store Bounty. First of all, let's scroll to marketing and analytics, select loyalty program. So what is loyalty program? Loyalty program is the way you reward your customers for coming back, and which means every time they make a purchase or they perform an action, you want to give them some kind of points. And when they have enough points, where they've accumulated enough points, you can give them discounts. So it's an exchange of points for discounts. So the first thing to do is to start a loyalty program. Now, loyalty programs typically take different form. There are what we call the customer action, which are the actions that customers perform in order to get some points. On Store Bounty, you get to set how many points you give for what action the customer perform. So currently we support 5 actions, and we have another action coming soon, which is the referral code. So I will go through each of the actions one by one and explain what they do. Purchase frequency is the action, is the point, is the way customers get points if they when they perform or they buy from your store at a frequency. So for example, you can say for every time they make a purchase, they get a certain amount of points, or for every three times they make a purchase, they get a certain amount of points. Purchase volume is if you want your points, your customers to accumulate points based on the volume of transaction. You can say, okay, if you buy something worth 5,000 naira, you get this amount of points. And we have app download and sign up. If we've deployed an app for you for your store on Store Bounty, you can set a point to reward people that download your app. To say, hey, it's a way to promote your app and say, hey, if you download our app and you sign up or log into the app, you get this amount of points, which you can now use later and exchange it for discount. The same thing for website sign up and login. Right. So, and you can say on your birthday for each of your customers and say they get certain amount of points. But in this video, I'll be focusing on purchase frequency and purchase volume for point accumulation. So let's look at purchase frequency. Now, before I come back to sales channel, let's talk about points that customers get. That is, if we follow the write-up here, it says customers earn, let's say 50 points for every one time. That means every time they make a purchase. And we can say 3 times or 5 times. Say every 5 times you make a purchase, you're going to get a certain amount of points, which is, in this case, we are setting 50. But I would like to leave it to 1, which means every time a customer buys from us, we want to give them 50 points. Now, to come back to sales channel is, do you want this rule to be applied on just one channel or all your channels? So I will leave it to, because it's optional, I will leave it to all my channels. I won't select anything. And of course, the status is active here. So I can now add the rule. Now, if you look down here, you see the point rule, the action and the rule, which says all channels. Sales channel, this rule is applicable to all channels. And customer action is frequency of purchase. And customers earn 50 points for every time. This is one time they purchase. Now, but if you look up here, you will see what we call point redemption rule. Now, below we've set up the way the customer will accumulate points. How do they redeem the point? This is where you set how your customers redeem the points. If I click on edit to say, hey, redemption threshold, that is the minimum point before a customer can redeem. How many points do they need to have before they can try to redeem their point? In this case, I'm setting it to 100 just for the case of this test. And it means that when they have they have up to 100 points, they can redeem. Now, when they want to redeem, what kind of discount do they get? We have customer reward here, where you have amount-based discount and percentage-based discount. It means if I choose amount-based discount, for example, it means for every 100 points, which is the same figure here. So if I change this to, say, I change it to 500, you see, it says for every 500 points, customers get 15% off. So that is 15 naira off. I beg your pardon, not percent. Or I can say they get 1,000 or 150 naira or 1,500 naira off. That is amount based. If I want it to be percentage based, however, I can say for every 500 points, that is this 500 points, customers get how much percent off. Of course, percent cannot be more than 100, so they can say 15% off to the tune of 5,000 naira. That is, I want to put a cap on the discount so that I don't over discount everything up to the tune of 5,000 naira. So the last part is to set the frequency of redemption. How often your customers can redeem their points, right? Do you want them, if you select anytime, it means as long as the customers have enough points, they can redeem. You can say, one customer can only redeem once a day or once a week or once a month. So in this case, I'll just set it to anytime. Customer has enough points. And of course, the status is active, then I save it. So now let's come down here to say, what is I want to change the redemption threshold from 500 to 100 for the sake of the test. So I'll make it 100, then say. So we were saying for every time a customer has 100 points, they can redeem, and it's percentage based. So for every 100 points, customers get 15% off to the tune of 5,000 naira. That is, if the 15% is greater than 5,000, the customer will only get 5,000. And how many times can they redeem? They can redeem many times. So now we've completed the setup for our loyalty program. The next stage is to see at checkout, we're going to be using points of sale. At checkout, how the customers will be accumulating, and when they accumulate, how they will redeem their points and get a discount. Before we go, one thing I would also like to add is you can add as many points rule as you want. And for example, you can also add a volume-based discount, which says, okay, for every customers earn, let's say, for example, 100 points for every 100,000 or 10,000 naira that they purchase. Earlier when we talk about frequency, this one is amount, and when we save. Now, it's important to talk about this because if you have multiple rules set up, your customers can get rewarded for any of the rule that matches. So it is not one and for all. If you don't want the rules to be applied, all the rules to be applied to your customers, you better set just one rule, or you set different rules for different channels. But if you set multiple rules, it can also all be applied. For example, if you set rule for birthday, you can say, hey, customers get maybe 20 points or 20 points on their birthday, right? And all these rules will be applied to a customer. So again, if you don't want all the rules to be applied, please make sure you don't set the rule. Say that you toggle it off or you delete the rule completely. So now let's go to the point of sale to see how rules will be applied, how the customers will accumulate the points and how they can redeem the points.